Have you ever met someone who tells the truth so directly that it almost catches you off guard? Not because they're trying to hurt anyone. Not because they're rude. But because pretending simply isn't in their nature. If you've ever experienced that with a Scorpio, there's a reason. While Scorpios are often described as mysterious, intense, and emotionally guarded, one of their most underrated traits is honesty. Not every Scorpio expresses it in the same way, but certain Scorpio birthdates have a reputation for being almost incapable of faking their feelings. And here's the interesting part. Their honesty isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in what they refuse to say. Sometimes it's in the look they give you when everyone else is pretending. And sometimes it's the reason they lose friendships, relationships, or opportunities, simply because they refuse to tell comfortable lies. So today, we're exploring the Scorpio birthdates that many astrologers believe are the most brutally honest. See if your birthday is on this list, because you may recognize yourself in ways you never expected. Before we begin, remember that astrology is a symbolic guide, not a guarantee. Your complete birth chart always matters more than your sun sign alone. Now let's dive in. One group that consistently stands out includes Scorpios born between October 24th and October 28th. These are often called the raw truth Scorpios. They're ruled almost entirely by instinct. Before they even have time to think, they usually know when something feels off. They notice the forced smile, the fake compliment, the hidden motive, the conversation that sounds nice but doesn't feel genuine. What surprises people is that these Scorpios aren't trying to expose everyone. In fact, many of them stay quiet. But when someone asks for their opinion, they're going to get the real answer. Not the answer they want. Not the answer that's socially convenient. The real one. That's why friends often describe these Scorpios as people who don't sugarcoat anything. Sometimes that's refreshing. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But it's rarely dishonest. Ironically, these Scorpios hate being lied to far more than they enjoy telling difficult truths. Once trust is broken, rebuilding it becomes incredibly difficult. To them, honesty isn't just about words. It's about loyalty. Now let's talk about another fascinating group. Scorpios born between October 29th and November 3rd. These individuals often possess emotional honesty. Instead of blurting out every opinion, they tell the truth when it matters most. They won't criticize someone just to feel superior. But if someone they love is making a serious mistake, they won't stay silent either. This creates an interesting contradiction. People often assume these Scorpios are secretive. And yes, they absolutely value privacy. But privacy isn't the same thing as dishonesty. They simply believe that not every thought belongs in every conversation. When they finally decide to speak, people listen. Because everyone knows they don't waste words. Their honesty carries weight precisely because they don't speak carelessly. Then we have Scorpios born between November 4th and November 11th. This is where things become especially intense. Many astrologers associate this period with some of Scorpio's deepest emotional power. These individuals have an unusual ability to sense deception. They notice inconsistencies, tiny changes in behavior, the hesitation before someone answers. The details that most people completely miss. Sometimes they can't even explain how they know. They simply do. And that's where brutal honesty enters the picture. If they realize someone is manipulating people, they're often the first person willing to confront it. Not because they enjoy conflict. Because they dislike fake behavior even more. Unfortunately, this honesty can create enemies. People don't always appreciate mirrors. Especially when those mirrors reveal uncomfortable truths. Finally, let's look at Scorpios born between November 12th and November 21st. These Scorpios often develop a quieter kind of honesty. Life usually teaches them that timing matters. Instead of reacting immediately, they observe. They collect information. They watch patterns repeat. And when they finally speak, their words often leave everyone silent. Because they're rarely based on assumptions. They're based on careful observation. This maturity makes their honesty feel calm rather than explosive. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," they might quietly ask, "Have you noticed this keeps happening?" That's a completely different kind of power. But here's something many people misunderstand about Scorpio honesty. Brutally honest doesn't mean brutally cruel. Healthy Scorpios don't insult people for entertainment. They don't embarrass others to prove a point. Real Scorpio honesty comes from authenticity. They simply struggle to pretend. If they care about you, they'll tell you when they think you're settling for less than you deserve. If they believe you're making a mistake, they'll probably warn you, even if they know you won't appreciate hearing it today. Because they'd rather risk an argument than watch someone they love get hurt. Of course, not every Scorpio behaves this way. Your moon sign, your rising sign, Mercury, and your entire birth chart shape how honesty is expressed. Some Scorpios become incredibly diplomatic. Others become intensely direct. Some reveal the truth immediately. Others wait until the perfect moment. Different personalities. Same desire for authenticity. There's another reason people often mistake Scorpios for being dishonest. They don't reveal everything about themselves. But keeping personal boundaries isn't lying. Scorpios believe trust is earned. They don't open their heart to everyone they meet. Some people interpret that as secrecy. Scorpios call it self-protection. Once you've earned their trust, you'll often discover they're among the most loyal and transparent people you'll ever know. Psychologically speaking, this makes perfect sense. Scorpios value emotional depth. Surface-level conversations don't satisfy them. They'd rather have one honest conversation than 10 fake ones. That's why many Scorpios have very small circles of close friends. Quality always beats quantity, and the people who stay in their lives usually know one thing. If a Scorpio compliments you, they genuinely mean it. If they support you, it's real. Nothing is performative. Here's a question worth asking yourself. When was the last time someone told you something you didn't want to hear, but needed to hear? There's a good chance someone with strong Scorpio energy has played that role in your life. Not because they wanted to judge you, because they respected you enough to tell the truth. Real honesty isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it changes relationships forever. But sometimes, it's exactly what helps people grow. If your birthday falls within Scorpio season, ask yourself this. Do people often describe you as too honest? Have you ever lost friendships because you refused to fake your opinions? Do people come to you when they need the truth instead of empty reassurance? If you answered yes, You might be one of those Scorpios whose honesty has become both your greatest strength and your greatest challenge. And that's something to be proud of, as long as your honesty is guided by wisdom, empathy, and kindness. Because the strongest truth isn't the one that hurts the most. It's the one that helps someone become better. As always, remember that astrology is about understanding yourself, not placing yourself inside a box. Your birth date may reveal certain tendencies, but your choices, experiences, and personal growth shape who you truly become. So, what do you think? Do you agree that these Scorpio birth dates are among the most brutally honest in the zodiac? Or has your own experience been completely different? Share your Scorpio birth date and your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear whether this description resonated with you. And if you enjoy exploring the deeper side of astrology, not just predictions, but the hidden personality traits that make every zodiac sign unique, make sure you subscribe to Cosmic Insight Daily and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep looking beyond the surface, because the stars often reveal what words cannot.